Okay, awesome. Welcome back to the show, everybody. Uh, yeah, thank you for joining us. And we have an awesome, a very special guest, very special episode. Hunter, actually, I should have asked this before we started too, because you sent your email. For those of you that listened last week, Hunter wrote our History Road, but I think you also said in the email that it's partially a fake name. So
Oh,
should I call you Hunter
yeah.
or yeah, that's good enough?
Yeah, no, Hunter is good. The half real, half made up thing is like the name that my parents gave me when I was born is Morgan, and Hunter is the name that I chose for myself. Really, it's the name that I chose when I became a baby born boy at the age of 24.
Okay, congratulations.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Um
Yeah.
okay. Yeah, so I guess it's not a fake name. I don't know what I was thinking. I was thinking honestly the only thing I was creative enough to come up was like maybe their name is like Morgan and Morgan Hunter and I'm like, "Oh, I really have no clue." Any relation to
Yeah. Well,
Elliot Morgan?
yeah. No.
No.
Well, and I now like, so when I actually like pay money to people to make it official, I will drop the last name that I was born with and make my original first name my last name, and then Hunter will be my new first name. This seems to confuse a lot of people. So if it's confusing to you also, it also has confused multiple doctors and other people.
I don't know that I'm following what all the names are, but I don't, that's not important. It's like I'm very
Yeah,
much a do what feels right person, like you got to do
yeah,
what feels
yeah.
right. Um
Hmm.
anyway, we'll get into it here. I guess I'm going to kind of have this as my go-to question anytime that we have a guest. By the way, I
Okay,
guess I just want to take a second to thank you for sending in your History Road last week and being the first person to send one in. I was
sure.
really, really excited about that, and it was awesome to have that.
Yes.
Um,
And I want to thank you for reading it. There were some things that you did with like your cadence and inflection that were like exactly how I imagined it. And then there were some like little things that you added that I wasn't expecting and that also made me laugh a lot. And I think my favorite, I will admit to being a little bit vain and listening to it a couple of times already. But like, maybe my favorite thing the first time that I was listening to you read the History Road was like when you were quiet for a second, and then I realized you were like laughing off the mic a little bit. It's like I did it.
yeah, it was. I I had no clue what to expect going in. I didn't read it over before I went in, which I think I got like halfway into it and I was thinking to myself like or less than halfway into it and I was like I should have read this first just so I could be prepared. But I think it
No, I
worked
think
out a
it was
lot better.
perfect.
Yeah, yeah.
It's better
Um
to hear someone discover it, I think.
yeah. And so what grade was that or like what was the context of or it was just kind of they had that in there the teacher had that on their computer.
It was probably, I feel like it was a middle school classroom.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah, but it
Wow.
could have been sixth grade. Like, yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
could have been like sixth or seventh grade.
Okay. Yeah, it was quite the I wonder what grade they got on that.
I there's no telling.
Yeah. But anyway, okay, so my kind of stock question for anybody that would want to be on the show, just be prepared to answer this question is like, how did you get started in the EZU? What was the first thing of either Mike or Steve's that you watched that kind of like how did you get here?
Yeah, I think well, I know for a fact the first thing was like watching Mike's videos. I don't remember why I found
Okay.
them, but like he's been on YouTube for forever. So like watching, I might have found him after he had moved to LA, but like I would go back and watch like his walk and talks from when he was still in Connecticut, and then just watching like all the different kind of eras that he had with his videos.
Yeah.
And then from there, eventually YouTube was like, watch SourceFed. And I was like, okay. And then not too much longer went by before it was like, goodbye SourceFed. But
Yeah.
but Dynamic Banter I probably found because Mike like would plug it on Welcome to Our Podcast, which I've been listening to for a while. And Dynamic Banter is like the first podcast that I started. I guess it started this summer, like right toward the end of my senior year of college, maybe.
Okay.
And so it was the first podcast that I started listening to from the beginning. So it has a very special place in my heart for that reason.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
was there at the beginning.
that's interesting. And like how long into Mike's YouTube tenure did you find some of his stuff?
I
Was it
can
like
remember what the videos looked like, but I don't.
oh, okay.
Yeah.
None of the like music
It's
stuff
somewhere
though,
in
like
the
it's
middle.
yeah.
His music stuff would have been like things that I rediscovered later, like what's way back here in the backlog,
Yeah.
and then like, oh, music too sometimes.
Yeah.
I was so happy when he started using that drum machine on well, both of his podcasts. Like I was happy when he started doing music stuff and the weird quiet singing that he does.
Yeah. I know that that thing is like the great equalizer in the show where like Steve had all of these things, whether it was like horns or, you know, messing with stuff, playing it on the computer or the slide whistle or like any of the sound effects. And then it kind of all, you know, Mike had the like little ding thing for a while and then it really equaled it out
Right.
to let him have the drum machine thing.
Yeah, and actually today, or in the episode that we're discussing today, we got kind of like a melding of the past world
That was
with
awesome.
him playing guitar and the new times with him like having the drum beat,
Yeah.
little groove.
Yeah, I liked what they did for the ads and like having him play for the ads. Like, I don't know, I don't have anything against because most of the time they either like pick good royalty free tracks or they just pick like funny ones and it's entertaining to listen to. But that added like a really cool layer for me. It was really really awesome to hear that. I don't know if you just heard my cat or not, but he's yelling at me for dinner.
One of my favorite things is when people describe like pet behaviors with human words, like saying that a cat is yelling.
Yeah.
It's like one of the funniest things to me. Or saying something about your dog's hands.
He really like even just recently. Hey, now he's trying to make a meal out of me. He's really like lately he's gotten louder. So it's not even like I think that's might be a new thing for me to say that he's yelling because he like I don't know, it's in the past like month or two he's been like, "Oh, when I say something, these guys react. They pay attention to me. So I better really give it to them." Okay, but into the episode. I missed putting up last week's episode. I actually recorded twice and failed both times. I just couldn't get things to I couldn't get it to work out. So I guess we'll talk a little bit about last week's and this week's episodes. But I mean they both cover the same thing.
Sure. Yeah.
Are you a Beatles fan?
Oh man, I'm gonna have to say it right away. So like, I don't know a lot of older music, so I'm not like mad about it. I don't quite get the like fever that people have, even like when they discover it now.
Yeah.
So like, I'll say like I wouldn't count them among my favorite bands, but I'm not like mad at anyone who likes them. And I'm sure if I like dive into their catalog, I'll find some favorite songs.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty sure that they're never going to be like a favorite band. I'm guessing you're more on the like, you have more the opinion that most people do. Like, wow, they're an amazing band. I think they're great.
No, actually,
No.
Yeah.
Okay. This is more interesting.
Yeah, it's good. It's good for both of us to be talking about it because I'm not really a Beatles fan at all, I guess. I don't know. I don't think that they're like
Ooh.
bad. I know, right? It's like it's a real hot take. And people
Yeah.
look at you so funny. I mean, I'm sure you get it too when you're like, oh, I
Hmm.
just don't really listen to them. But people are like,
Like,
how could you
no, I
ever
don't
say
really
anything
listen.
against the
They're like,
Beatles?
what?
Yeah, yeah. I don't know. I didn't grow up listening to it. And
Right. I think
kind of,
that's a big factor.
yeah, yeah, for sure. And like, but I'm the same way. I feel shocked when people are like our age or like even Mike and Steve's age where the music wasn't coming out when they were, Beatlemania wasn't going on when they were growing up. But they're like, oh, yeah, I
Right.
listened to this song when I was like 15 or 12 or whatever it is. And they just like fall in love with it. I don't know.
Yeah.
And I mean, who knows what the future holds, right? At one point, I was really trying hard for a career in the music industry. And so, like, I went to school
Mm.
for audio engineering and music production and stuff like that. And
Oh, cool.
the thing that irks me about a lot of Beatles songs is, like, the musicality is fully there. And, like, they were obviously good songwriters and all that. But the way that the recordings are layered and some of the effects that are used are just so like dated and kind of grating that I can't quite
Yeah.
get past it.
Yeah. I totally feel that. Like, I am much more excited about artists I follow that are making music right now because, like, our brains are surrounded by, like, the way that music is produced right now. I feel the same way about, like, old movies or old shows. I'm like, yes, I understand that everyone loves Star Trek The Next Generation, but oh my God, have you seen the pacing? Like, everyone has
Yeah.
to stare significantly at the camera. I'm just not used to taking in media like this. It's like makes my brain tired.
Yeah, it's like I don't know. And I feel
Grating is
like
a good word for it. Like, it's
that
just so different.
and there are sometimes when I hear like a cover of a Beatles song and I'm going to show how little of a Beatles fan I am because there's and I think it might just be a Paul McCartney song um called
Mm,
Let Me Roll It that
sure, that sounds like one. I
and
wouldn't know.
I think it's a good song, but actually the first version of it that I heard was by a different band, and like that plays a lot
Mm,
into it too. But listening to the original version, I'm like, who recorded this and like thought that this sounded good? I don't know. Like
mm,
some of my opinions about it are that drastic, but that kind of ties into what I
sure.
was thinking more in this latest episode. Um,
Okay.
because they talk about like Beatlemania, and obviously that had a big effect on the popularity of the Beatles. But I was kind of thinking about that like it's so hard to judge what's good anything like good music or good movies or TV and any of that. Like it's so hard to
Hmm.
judge that because we take on so many impressions when we're like in our young teens or young aughts or whatever. And
Hmm.
I don't know, like there's music that I listened to back then that I like to listen to, I still like, but I don't know if I could successfully defend the argument like this is good music, like this song is
Mm,
imbued with some kind of greatness. Like I just like it because I was 12 years old and, music was really hitting with me or something and I heard this song. And
yeah.
so I think,
Yeah.
I mean, as someone who's not a Beatles fan, I kind of feel that way about the Beatles fandom, that a lot of people are Beatles fans because, their dad was like, it's time for you to hear this song, or their mom or whatever, and played them a bunch of Beatles stuff and they were like, wow,
Right.
this is awesome. Um,
Right. It's less that I like actively dislike it and more that I'm just like it passed me by and I'm fine with that.
yeah. Um,
Nobody sat me down with the Beatles at the right age or whatever.
I think I wrote this down in my notes. I think my favorite thing about the Beatles is Mike and
Hmm.
Steve's impression of the Beatles.
Oh, for sure. Like I love that they brought back the that they brought back that they already have a recurring bit in this like in the in 239 it was I want to hold this plant. Like
Yeah.
they did that, and then and then on the more recent one, they were like, I want to fuck your hand.
Yeah. Oh,
It's like good. We already have a through line.
yeah. And like it is super appropriate for them to be doing like a full deep dive couple episodes on the Beatles
Yeah,
because I think it probably has been the most recurrent
it has
topic.
been.
Yeah. Like the thing that gets brought up the most, they tie something back to the Beatles, or of course they always talk about Wonderful Christmas Time.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that they talk about more than once. Have you noticed that?
Yeah. Yeah, there's a short list well, not that there's a short list, but yeah, there's a list that they go back to frequently.
Uh-huh.
Um what else do we have here? I know you said you had one hot take from the last episode from 239 to share.
Well, it's actually like it definitely continued in this one as well.
Oh yeah?
Um, yeah. So, and honestly, I think this would be my takeaway from like, or will continue to be my takeaway from each of the Beatles themed episodes, which is that like on more than one occasion, they have specifically, one or both of them have specifically referenced 21 Pilots as like an unjustified, or they've implied that they don't really get the like craze around 21 Pilots and that they're not that good of a band. And I am here to say that it's exactly the same as the Beatles.
Yeah.
And I will not be taking constructive criticism on that. I have points.
I think I missed that. I missed that
It's
little
been,
quip from them. Are you a 21 Pilots fan?
I am.
Yeah.
But where do I start with this? It's just been like one or two offhand comments that's been like casting around for like, one of those bands that girls scream about or whatever, or that people in general scream about. And they're like, 21 Pilots. They're like made fun of I think they've made a joke that was in the realm of like, oh, it's like really simplistic, weird songwriting. And so would you like to hear my list of
Yeah, definitely,
things that
because
they, okay.
I think that
So,
your comparison is really accurate. Like it's just like the Beatles. Like, oh, almost dropped my
good.
phone.
Yeah, my hot take is that it's precisely the same. So like early in Mike's like I don't know segment today on the Beatles, like they were talking about, I think they were talking about Paul McCartney as being like, he has sad puppy eyes and good hair, and that's why the girls
Yeah.
let me things about feelings. And I'm like, it's the same.
Yeah, and
um,
didn't they even say like I forget whether it was in this episode or the last one, but Steve was like, oh, I think it was maybe in the last one. Steve was like, if you had like a boy band of like attractive guys that are singing about
mhm.
like wokeness, and I'm like, I didn't even put it together until just now, but I'm like, I think 21 Pilots fits that pretty well. That a lot of their songs are like very connectable for like current teenagers and like sometimes
Yeah.
even pretty deep,
hmm
Yeah.
Yeah, like a lot of people have found meaning in like the way that they talk openly about feelings, and also like how that connects to like mental health and having to like find meaning in the world despite like having a lot of reasons to feel really bad or feel like
Yeah.
really, distressed. They also, so they were also going back to the segment Mike and Steve were talking about, like, the Beatles were always so clever and quick and witty, and everybody just like wanted to take in all this media about them. And like, you could type in like 21 Pilots cute or 21 Pilots funny or whatever, like, and you'll find just endless. You can scroll endlessly over like videos that people have pieced together, and like always see new interviews that people have like compiled into like, oh, they're being they're being cute or they're being silly or they're being small boys. Like it's everywhere. So clearly, like it is the same.
Yeah.
I will say again.
I feel like people
Uh,
end up doing that a lot where like when the Beatles were famous, there was like a really, I mean, sure, there were other musical acts, but there was like really just the Beatles. And so I feel like that
yes,
plays a lot
yeah,
into why everybody was going so crazy, because it's like all the people that would go crazy for 21 Pilots, and I know they're not together anymore, but all the people from One Direction that are now solo, like all the people that would individually
mm-hmm.
go to one of their concerts and go crazy, all of them would go to whoever, the Beatles would be. If there was just one, they would be like, oh yeah, this is the thing
Exactly.
to go see.
Yeah, they kept talking about like the British invasion when they came to like the United States to tour, and I thought like, did other bands even travel internationally before then? Like, was that a thing? I don't know if it was.
Yeah, I don't know that much either, but I think there was like a big spike around then of people in America taking interest in like British fashion and British like culture and stuff. I might be wrong about that though. I think
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I don't know. I thought there was like more of a or maybe it was just more like European things or something like that, but I thought there was a correlation like that they kind of got tied up into that surge too.
Mm. Yeah, I could go. I probably will continue to have read. I will continue to add to my list of why 21 Pilots is the same as the Beatles, with this small exception of like there being more of a monoculture at the time, whereas now there are like lots of bands doing the same thing, like you said. But the last thing I'll say for now is that like um, they were describing like how the Beatles were fucking with journalists all the time. I liked it. Was it John like gave the name Eric and then
Yeah.
waited for the interviewer to start like on camera? um, people who know, friends of 21 Pilots will know that like as far as I know, Tyler and Josh have never given an interview where they actually describe how they met. They just have a long series of videos where they describe these like false, elaborate stories of how they met every time that they're asked on camera.
That's hilarious. I'm gonna have to go look some of those up.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's cool too,
They're
because it.
funny. They're
Oh, okay, so now we're back. My bad though. I think I got all of that up until maybe just the tiniest little bit at the end. Um, but yeah, it adds into like the mythology, where like, you know, I mean, people have pictures of them, but like Daft Punk or like Dead Mouse, that they become this other persona when they have the helmets on, and you like
yeah.
aren't really supposed to know
Mm-hmm.
what the truth is. It's like that same appeal. Like you won't actually get to find out how the two of them met. They just, you can you
Mm-hmm.
can know all the different mythology, all the different stories that they've put out there, but you can't be sure if
Right.
it's the truth.
Yeah.
But I don't know offhand, but are either of the 21 Pilots, because it's two people, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Are either of them sleepy boys?
Oh.
I think
they in fact are sleepy boys.
I think from now
There's a video I
on.
remember somewhere of them describing how they like lean up against each other's backs and take a nap. Like
So
they are
literally,
known to be sleepy boys.
yeah, I like, I don't know. I think from now on I'm gonna try to substitute dreamy for sleepy. That's like the
Dreamy boys.
funniest. Yeah, like instead of, because I thought that's what Steve was trying to say. Like, they're like dreamy guys, and he said like they're sleepy guys
Oh.
instead. But I don't know. Maybe I just misinterpreted it. But I was like,
Oh, you think he meant they're dreamy?
yeah,
I really like that.
sleepy,
I like
dreamy,
that too.
sleepy
Just calling
boys.
people sleepy.
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah. So okay, that concludes. I don't have anything else I think to say about the first episode. Yeah, that's all. That's everything. I also didn't get the ads today either, because I don't know. I felt like maybe that was a waste. I'm like, if people really want the ads, they can get the ads on the show, but they don't. They don't need me talking about it. Um. So here we are, 240. Yeah, I feel like it's hard for me to discern what happened between the last one and this one because they were both kind of
Sure.
covering the
Yeah.
same thing. But they did start off talking about this movie, Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. Have you seen that movie?
I have not.
Oh, okay. That's another
I
one.
haven't seen a lot of movies.
That's another one of those ones that like it came out in the 80s, and I
Mhm.
think it was like my mom. I'm pretty sure it was my mom that showed it to me, and maybe my dad, but it was one of those movies that like obviously she was into whenever it came out, and then like she showed it to me, and so I feel like, oh, it's such a good movie, but like who really knows, because I was just at that impressionable age. But Mike and Steve talked about maybe they would do like a deep dive into Bill and Ted's, or a couple deep dive episodes into Bill and Ted's, and I would be so down for that. I love that movie. I think you should go watch it, but I get it if you wouldn't want to, because that's exactly what we were
Well,
just talking about.
I'm definitely intrigued because apparently Keanu Reeves plays one of them,
Yeah.
and I don't think I've ever seen him in a comedic role, so that sounds fun. Who's the other one?
The other guy, I don't know if he really did anything else. His name is oh shit. I feel like I should know it. I almost said Logan Paul.
Hmm.
It's something like that. Like, or I'm just no. It's maybe it's not at all. I think it's Alexander or something Alexander. Oh shit. I don't know. I know exactly what their
That
names
sounds
are
right.
in the movie, what his name is in the movie, but his name's
Hmm.
Bill S. Preston Esquire in the movie. And that's I don't know what his what his real name is. Um,
Okay.
but that's also
Yeah,
one of the
I'm certainly
few.
intrigued.
That's one of the few movie franchises where I think the second movie is actually even better, or at least as good as the first. It's like,
That's impressive.
yeah, they did it right. Um, and they also talk about the not the movie, the boys talk about like a bit vinyl, making and selling a bit vinyl.
Oh
Would
my
you be
goodness.
interested in that?
I think it's a very cool idea, and I certainly understand why they're like extremely horny about it, and I think that's great. I have never had anything that could play a vinyl, so it's not as huge a deal for me personally, but it is like a very cute and very them idea.
Yeah.
Would you buy a bit vinyl?
I'm I don't think so. No. And like I feel kind of bad saying that, but I'm only trying to be realistic because
Sure.
I actually don't currently have a record player, but I have a small collection of vinyl, and my brother has like a huge collection of vinyl. Um
Mm.
that got passed down from our parents, or the bulk of which got passed down. But I don't know, I was thinking, did they put up a poll on Instagram to ask like who would buy it and who wouldn't? And I wanted to answer yes,
Okay.
but I'm like, I don't want to give a false impression of like, oh yeah, I'm gonna buy this,
Sure.
and then if they put it out and it's like
Yeah.
$60 or $80, like I'm not gonna spend that. Like
Mm.
I might buy it if it was like
Yeah.
$20, but I don't think they're gonna be able to make enough of them to make them $20 each.
Yeah. That sounds.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but I don't want to shit on it. I don't want to, put anybody down. I do think it's an awesome idea, like you were saying, and I understand why they're so into it. And like, if other people are like, "Oh yeah, I would be so down for it." One thing I think I might be a little more down for would be like if when they could do a live show again, if they were to like
Mm.
record the live show and release that solely on vinyl, and like
Mm.
I I would be more, and it still would depend on how much they're able to sell it for, but I would be a little bit more like, okay, this is something that unless I was at the show, I'll only hear from the vinyl, and like I would be down for that. But
Mm.
yeah.
Mhm.
What else is here? Well, I don't know. What did you have for this last episode if we didn't already kind of cover it?
honestly, most of my points about like why 21 Pilots is the same as the Beatles, more of those came from 240.
From this
So
one, yeah.
I think that trend will continue.
Yeah. Yeah, somebody's got to play the boys some 21 Pilots and give them the there's no, I don't know what
They've
whatever
got to
the
hear
Beatle
something
fever
that's
term
not
is.
like the radio songs. They've got to hear some deep cuts.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like that's always how it is. Like, I mean, sure, the radio songs are probably good, but you really gotta get in there to know if you like somebody or not. Steve said, or Steve hinted at like, oh, I don't know a ton of artists that got famous doing covers. And I'm like, what are you talking about? That's like everybody. That's literally like
Steve says wild things sometimes.
Yeah. Sometimes he says it because it feels right or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, like when we were driving back from getting donuts today, there's like another Lana Del Rey. I don't know. I guess Lana Del Rey like only does covers now. So she did that cover of
Really?
Summertime by Sublime, which maybe they somewhat covered that or like sampled another song to make that song. And then now there's like a cover of why can't I think of the name? Oh, Can't Help Falling in Love, which most people attribute to Elvis, but I don't know if it was his song anyway.
Yeah, I would be remiss if I didn't say that there is a much beloved cover of Can't Help Falling in Love from 21 Pilots.
Oh, yeah? Oh, yeah. Oh, shit.
Yeah.
Full circle.
Do you know it?
I've definitely heard it. I've definitely heard it before, yeah.
Yeah. I would like to think that they're one of the reasons why people who start playing ukulele, like that's one of the first things they try to play. It could have been true before, but I think like you can find specifically ukulele tabs for 21 Pilots version of
Oh, wow.
Can't Help Falling in Love.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I like that too because it was like a big, and I'm a fan in the sense that I don't have any disrespect whatsoever for 21 Pilots, but I'm not a fan in the sense that I don't know that many of their songs or that much about them. But like I feel like that one or that recording when I heard it was like a lot different than any of the other songs that I had heard by them, and I don't know if it's a lot different than if they have other stuff that kind of sounds like that, but it was a nice little switch up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But I made a list of some, well, not a list, but also while Steve was saying that, he said something about Justin Timberlake being in the Backstreet Boys, and I got a real good zazzle out of that one. I was like, oh, Steve. You sound like...
What was it that he said?
He said something like, when he was saying, when he was making his point about people not starting with covers and like people not doing that anymore, he said something about like, oh, and maybe Justin Timberlake, I know he was part of the Backstreet Boys, but maybe if he like did his own thing and was doing covers, I wonder if he would have had the same amount of success. And I'm like, it just made me...
Was Justin Timberlake not in the Backstreet Boys?
No,
was he in a different one?
Yeah, he was in Sync.
Oh, I didn't. It completely passed me by until you were describing it now, and then I was like, I think I was in Sync. I don't know those boy bands either, but I don't know my 90s boy bands.
Yeah, I think that's more the music for me that like, I mean, I was only born in 95. I don't know if I should like say that or not, if people are going to steal my identity now, but that's the year I was born, whatever. But even that, like, though that is some of the music for me that falls into the category of like, is this good or do I just feel like a happy little boy? Oh, did drop my phone. Do I just feel like a happy, smaller boy when I hear it? Oh. Okay. Are you still there?
Yes.
Okay.
You went away completely for a moment.
Yeah. My bad. it's a weird setup over here, and so I'm like holding my phone and a microphone at the same time, and I keep dropping the phone. Um, yeah. Anyway, but I had a little list here of like Justin Bieber. I already said the Lana Del Rey is doing covers, and like just
Okay.
everybody does covers. Justin Bieber got famous
Sure.
pretty much on YouTube doing covers before he
Right,
did like
right.
original
Yeah.
songs. Um,
Okay.
and another one, uh, "The Year 3000" by the Jonas Brothers. Do you know that song?
Yes. Yes.
It like blew my mind to learn that that is a cover of a song that came out in like the 70s or something, and it literally sounds like exactly the same. Like they didn't change really anything about the song at all. They just like re-recorded it,
Huh.
and yeah, I don't know what the name of the band is that originally did it, but that was a cover, and like yeah.
Yeah, that is wild because it doesn't. I don't remember hearing it and thinking like that doesn't sound like it was made now. It just sounded like a pop song.
Yeah. I think it made
Interesting.
I think it had like a little bit more of a grungy vibe or like garage band kind of vibe on the original one, and they turned it into a little bit like poppier, but they barely
Oh,
changed it,
okay.
like
Gotcha.
yeah. I don't know. Um
Yeah.
all right, let me
I like that both of our lists are like, we will prove to you why
Yeah.
why the Beatles are not as exceptional as you say.
Yeah.
That's our commentary on the episode.
Yeah, maybe this will stir up some people. This will what finally gets them moving, that they're going to like send an email into the show and be like, "You guys are totally wrong about the Beatles. I was born in 1996 and the Beatles are the greatest band ever."
Sure.
um
Yeah, that's fine.
yeah. Okay, I just checked and I don't have any history roads. So if anybody wants to send in a history road, it's talkinthebanter@gmail.com. No G in talkin the banter at gmail.com. Send it to me, send it, and we'll read it, and it doesn't matter how long it is. And my wonderful guest Hunter sent in our first one last week, so go listen back to that if you didn't listen to it already, because it was great. I think maybe if you skip like 16 minutes, if you want to skip over the rest of the podcast and just hear the history road, yeah, get in there and you'll find it. It was great. It was really funny. That's all I've got written. I don't want to shut it down if you still got more to say. So yeah, go for it.
I mean, my large gripe or my large whatever, it's not a gripe. I do want to mention that like I didn't know that skiffle was a type of music, and that was fun to learn. That's just a good. I feel like that really captures what the music sounds like. Maybe.
Yeah.
Were you familiar with skiffle music? Does it sound like the word skiffle makes you think it would sound?
And you know, I feel like I had that same thought when they said skiffle. I was like, I haven't heard anything that that's been identified to me as skiffle, but hearing that, I'm like, I feel like I know exactly what skiffle sounds like.
Like you can hear the cymbal ride in your head, even if you have no idea what skiffle music is.
Yeah. I when I heard it, at least I narrowed it down to like skiffle music. It comes down to one sound, and it's just like or like or something like that. And like, I don't know. That was just what I heard.
Totally.
And then I ended up looking it up. And have you ever heard the song "In the Summertime" by Mongo Jerry?
I probably have and didn't know it. Like I probably heard it in a movie or
yeah,
a mall or something.
It's definitely been in movies. Anyway, that was I looked up skiffle music, and that was the one song that it like classified as skiffle that I was like, oh yeah, I've heard that song.
Gotcha.
Yeah. skiffle. And you know, as much as we like shit on the Beatles or whatever, I did think it was a very it was an interesting episode to be like, you know, I'm not gonna like I'm the person that I'm not gonna go watch a documentary about the Beatles or like, you know, I wouldn't otherwise spend 2 hours learning about the Beatles, but like I did learn some
Right.
stuff and it was interesting. So like I'm fine with, you know, the boys taking the
Yeah.
time talking about it.
I'm not going to go listen. I'm not going to go like seek out strangers talking about the Beatles, but like if people I already like are having fun talking about the Beatles, I will listen to it and it'll be nice.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's one of those I feel like they're also another band that I'm not a Beatles fan that like I'll go listen to all the Beatles stuff, but I've heard plenty of Beatles songs and I like them, you know, like yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
What do we have here? Yeah, that's it. That's my entire list. I don't think there's anything else important.
Okay.
Yeah, well, thank you for being on the show. For being our second guest. It was a real pleasure to have you. I'm glad we got to have the conversation here. And
Me too.
yeah, I don't know if you have any like causes you want to shout out or like if you have things that you're working on that you want to shout out. Go for it. Yeah, I don't know if you have like projects and stuff that you're working on.
Well, first I will say thank you very much for letting me join you.
Oh, absolutely.
It's been fun to like. I've never been on a podcast before, so a couple times I heard myself like starting to talk over you, and I was like, "Calm down." But I listen to so many podcasts, and it's like very exciting to like I'm gonna be on one.
Yeah.
So that's a very fun. Really, they're one of the most accessible. Like one of the lowest budget things that a person could start, but I've just never done it, so it's exciting. And then I thought about this ahead of time, and I would like to use my shout out to specifically shout out any fellow trans fans in the DB community, because I think I don't remember when I made this connection, but at some point while I've been listening to them, I was like, you know, I'm quite literally a born baby boy because while I am 26 years old, I've only been, you know, learning about myself as a born boy for maybe the past 2 years or so. I think that's very cool and special.
Yeah, two honk born boy.
Two honks.
Two honk. That's
yeah,
awesome.
Very
and
special shout out to any fellow trans people that are around and listening to Dynamic Banter. And if you want to hit me up on the Discord, I always love talking to fellow queer and trans people because it's just, you know, we get it. As a throwback to people who get it.
It all comes full circle. Well,
It
yeah,
does.
and I love how like it's really refreshing. I don't know. There was a while where listening to Dynamic Banter, I was like, so everybody that listens to this show is probably like a guy, right? And then the more I listened to it, I was like, I started to get worried that the humor would kind of cultivate an audience that maybe sometimes would be like not so accepting and might be like some sort of jerk. You know, I don't know. I started to get worried about that. And especially recently, I feel like, and Steve has really always been this way, but there's so much acceptance that they talk about everything with that like it's so I don't know, it's just nice to see people from that generation that are like that accepting and that are that like woke and get it, you know.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I'd be curious to see I'd be curious to hear more from like, I mean, really just all fans. I don't know. I was about to like specify it, but really, I want to hear more from the fans and hear like how you guys got into Dynamic Banter and all that stuff. There's so many great stories and like so many different ways that, you know, whether it's the humor or the advice or any of the stuff from Mike and Steve have like connected all of us. And it feels good just to like learn about it. I feel like, you know, I feel really great.
Yes. Yeah, I love this project for that reason. Like, ooh, we can start to talk to each other and hear each other's voices.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you again for joining me on the show. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. I feel like I could thank you 1,000 times. I'm really happy we got to do this. And thank you to the listeners too. Thank you for the listeners too for listening, and we'll catch you next week.